Okay, everybody, I think that we've crested 200 and it's 11:02, so let's please go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. It is my first duty to let everybody know that this presentation is being recorded, and I'm already getting questions. It will be recorded for posterity, and everybody here will get a copy of it as soon as it's ready. Welcome, everyone, to the inaugural Chesapeake Oyster Science Symposium. Thank you all so much for being here, wherever here is. One of the advantages of Zoom is that each of you gets the best seat in the house. Another benefit is that we are able to accommodate many time zones here. So for those of you time traveling to the Chesapeake Bay today, we welcome you, we thank you, and hope you're having a pleasant morning or a pleasant evening, as the case may be. Or a pleasant evening, as the case may be. For those of you on the East Coast, I want to let you know that the clouds and rain that you're experiencing today have been ordered specially to give you a better option on Zoom today to stay inside. This program is supported by Chesapeake Bay Foundation and is presented by the many partners of the varied partners of the Chesapeake Oyster Alliance, which I will describe momentarily. The Chesapeake Bay was once the largest oyster fishery on the planet. Once a vast and seemingly inexhaustible network of reef and habitat for so many other species, a tragic confluence of overharvesting, disease, and pollution brought the native oyster population of Chesapeake Bay to its knees, or hinges. Today, that population is a small but determined fraction of what it once was, and the collapse of the Bay oyster was a harbinger of the systemic water quality issues to come. But there is a silver lining, perhaps because of or in spite of the devastation that we have experienced in the Bay. Today, the Chesapeake Bay is one of the most well-studied water bodies in the United States, if not the world, with a steady procession of researchers from near and far visiting to study one of the largest oyster restoration efforts on the globe. Underlying the critical advances we see in oyster restoration and aquaculture today is a bedrock of strong science and its less esteemed sibling, trial and error. The researchers and scientists responsible for these advances are buoyed by oyster practitioners, restoration experts and growers, as well as average citizens, decision makers, and other advocates who hope to see the return of this keystone species for all their ecological, economic, and cultural co-benefits. This symposium will address some of the most critical issues related to the Bay oyster, and I'm very proud to say gathers some of the best and brightest minds dedicated to those issues today. I say some, but not all. In planning this program, I have found the depth and caliber of people working in the oyster universe to be simply stunning. There simply isn't enough time in a solid month, much less a single Zoom conference, to hear from everyone. But as we will hear today, there is still plenty of room for more research, more scientists, more growers, and more restoration. This is all to say that this inaugural symposium is just a taste, albeit a very tasty taste, of the work being done in and for the Chesapeake Bay by dedicated scientists, those restoration experts, the aquaculturalists, and other advocates. We could have expanded any one of the panel discussions we prepared for you today into an entire symposium unto itself. But with the limited time we have on Zoom before imminent mutiny, we hope this event sets the stage for even more dialogue between oyster growers, researchers, and reef builders, and to attract new minds to these issues and careers. We also intend for this to be an annual event to explore these issues through the lens of emerging science and novel techniques on the cutting edge of the oyster. And when I say we, I'm referring to the Chesapeake Oyster Alliance, a coalition of oyster growers, nonprofits, academic institutions, businesses, and others formed in 2018 with the ambitious goal to add 10 billion new oysters to Bay waterways by 2025. This coalition bolsters major interstate plans like the Chesapeake Bay Clean Water Blueprint and the current Chesapeake Bay Agreement, with full-throated support of the oyster aquaculture renaissance already happening in the Bay today. The Chesapeake Oyster Alliance was initiated by Chesapeake Bay Foundation as part of a campaign to add 10 billion oysters to the Bay, plant 10 million trees in the Pennsylvania headwaters of the Bay, and activate 1 million voices to speak up for clean water. And as they say, the journey is the destination. As you can see here, the priorities and initiatives of the Chesapeake Oyster Alliance are the stepping stones towards that 10 billion. But at its core, the Chesapeake Oyster Alliance is about partnerships. It's about a unified front that can strategize, influence, and implement at different magnifications. For anyone interested in learning more about the Chesapeake Oyster Alliance, please visit the website and reach out to me directly. And in case you were wondering, we have presently recorded 2.37 billion of that 10 billion, but that is a whole other presentation. I would like to kick things off by thanking all of our moderators, panelists, and lightning round speakers in advance who have helped build this excellent program and bravely agreed to speak about their passion projects under such tight time constraints. I would also like to especially thank Greenfin Studio, Shirley and Paula, who have helped coordinate and facilitate this very elaborate undertaking. So without further ado, some basics on how all this will work. The main portion of the symposium is in Zoom webinar format. The format is rapid fire by design with no presentation longer than 7 minutes and some only 3 minutes. The bulk of each panel's time will be devoted to Q&A, which I hope that you all are ready to engage on. That's what it's all about here today. You can communicate with the host or the group at large through the chat feature, and that you're welcome to do that, but please use your questions in the Q&A feature. You can communicate with the hosts if necessary, again, through that chat feature. For each panel, the moderator will introduce the topic and then pass to the panelists one by one. So moderator, panelist, then the Q&A. Please refer to the bio and the Lightning Talk abstract documents emailed to you yesterday for background information on all of our speakers. The moderators are going to dispense with those formalities in favor of more time for content and Q&A. After all the panelists have spoken, the moderator will pull questions from the Q&A feature. And again, that upvote, there's a little thumbs up on each of those questions. And by selecting that, you indicate that you'd like to hear the answer to that question. That's what moderator is going to kind of look to first to choose their questions. If you have questions for a specific panelist, please name that person in your question. On to one of the most exciting parts of the program, in my opinion, is the lightning rounds at lunchtime. We have gathered a great group of young scientists to present their postgraduate work, which will begin shortly after 12 o'clock noon Eastern. And yes, you will have time to grab your lunch, listen to the panelists, and with time to spare. While we will not have Q&A in this session, all speakers will be available in the Meet the Lightning Round presenters breakout room during happy hour as seen on your program. So please do plan to stop in and meet these young scientists and inquire about their work and see what they're up to and offer any sort of advice that you may have for them. Which brings me to our breakout rooms. We will have full details for this on you, once we get to towards the end there. But we encourage you shortly after 4 o'clock to grab a beverage or a snack of your choice. Join us in those breakout rooms. We really do have something for everyone. And this really is the best opportunity that we have to allow everyone to communicate and meet other oyster devotees. So again, I want to thank you all very much. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic to our first moderator, Bruce Vogt, Ecosystem Science and Synthesis Manager with NOAA Chesapeake Bay office.